examining the wallpaper on the wall, doing all the ridiculous things any writer does when waiting for an idea to strike. Then, while staring blankly ahead of me, I became aware of a small insect crawling on the outside of my window. I kept watching it, almost hypnotized by its slow, seemingly effortless progress as it adhered to the slippery glass as if by magic. Back and forth it crawled, silently, easily, never for an instant losing its footing. I found myself wondering, what makes it stick to the glass? Why is it that all sorts of insects have the ability to crawl on walls, ceilings, anything at all, and they can do it upside down, defying gravity as if it doesn't exist? Well, I'm sure you can see what this is leading up to. At some point, I thought to myself, hey, what if a superhero had the ability of an insect? What if he could crawl on walls or even walk upside down on ceilings? Wouldn't that be a hoot? Best of all, as far as I knew, there had never been such a comic book character. He'd be a true original. And so the hard part was done. I had found the superpower I'd been seeking. The next prerequisite was a name. The first thought that hit me was Insect Man, but it just didn't sound heroic enough. Next, I rolled Mosquito Man around on my tongue. Close, but no cigar. Fly Man? Not quite. Then suddenly inspiration struck. Spider-Man. Wow, that really sounded dramatic to me. Plus, it seemed to have a desirable touch of menace. So Spider-Man it was. However, the name still needed one other element, a hyphen. I didn't want to take any chance, not the slightest chance in the world, that a reader looking at the title quickly might mistake it for Superman. So I added the quintessential hyphen, and lo, the Spider-Man we all know and love was born. Oh, I forgot to mention that I've always been a sucker for adjectives, i.e., the Fantastic Four, the Incredible Hulk, the Invincible Iron Man, the Uncanny X-Men, the Mighty Thor. Well, I certainly wasn't going to let my favorite hero of all go through life adjectiveless. So I decided to call him the Amazing Spider-Man. No special reason why I chose the word amazing. I simply liked the sound of it. Now that we had our title and Spidey had his superpower, all that remained was for the brilliant artist Steve Ditko to give our wondrous web-swinger his look, style, and unique visual appeal, while also contributing mightily in the plotting of our extravagant little epics. Steve did it. The fans bought it. The rest is history. Later, when Steve went on to other projects, the awesomely talented John Romita brought his own dazzling interpretation to Spidey, lifting our wondrous wall crawler to still greater heights of popularity and fame. After all these years, I seem to remember it happening that way. It could have happened that way. It should have happened that way. And it probably did. And now that you've been thoroughly briefed and indoctrinated, it's time to turn the page to see what all the fuss is about. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man has a surfeit of surprises for you, and you know how arachnids hate to be kept waiting. Spider-Man, Stan Lee and Peter David. The fist was a blur. The impact, however, had more substance. Many times when Peter Parker had perused comic books in his youth, back in the days when he had time for such trivialities, before he found his leisure moments utterly consumed by science texts and the like, he had read the phrase, "He never knew what hit him." It was such a jazzy phrase, one that implied action and violence at breakneck speed. In his previous 17-plus years of existence, however, it had never quite had any real personal meaning before. Peter Parker never knew what hit him. Oh, intellectually he did. It was a fist. A curled, brutish fist about the size of a glazed ham, with thick, bristling hair protruding from the knuckles. It would not have seemed out of line to Peter if the fist's owner, upon finishing with Parker, decided to grab a screaming blonde, scale the Empire State Building, and commence swiping.